Hello, Canucks fans. Welcome back to another episode of Canucks Conversation, brought to you by Bet365. We're coming to you from the Pacific Toyota dealer studio here in a backyard in Penticton. Visit shoptoyota.ca or visit your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. My name is Dave Woodrilly. I'm joined by Rink-Wide Vancouver's Jeff Paterson. Who better to help me break down today's training camp scrimmage? We're going to talk about bigger picture stuff about training camp as a whole and anyone else later in the show. But yes, today we were at the South Okanagan Event Center. We got to take in a Canucks scrimmage. Pretty well attended. Got to see the fans enjoying some Canucks hockey for the first time this year. It was a good time.
I told you, Team White. I was all over Team White. I told you. Team White wins running away. Look, we're inside a hockey rink watching hockey. This is great. It's the start of the season. It's a scrimmage. I get that. Crowd was what I expected. Again, a lot made of the $40 ticket and the sort of goal line to goal line along both sides, pretty much full. The end zone's empty. So it was not a sellout. It was not packed in there. But the people that were there seemed to enjoy themselves. Penticton has so embraced the Vancouver Canucks from young stars in years gone by. Just a stand-alone training camp. You can see it. And I think people were treated to a pretty good show. Like I've seen enough. I think you have as well, these training camp scrimmages. I thought this one was played at a pretty high pace, and we saw some nice plays as well. All things considered, and again, it's just 3 days. You have to keep that in mind. But I think the Canucks are pretty happy with the way things have unfolded here over the last 72 hours.
I think one thing to at least mention is the work that was done, and we broke it down in recent episodes. The rush offense, the defensemen jumping up in the rush, the wingers playing high, the D-zone pressure being up, that's the center attacking the puck carrier, having two guys on the puck carrier when you're defending in your own zone. They were doing all those things. They were trying to implement those systems today, both sides, Team Blue and Team White. They were both trying. Now, what did it lead to? A couple odd man rushes. It led to a couple bad reads by defensemen. I saw some guys go when they should have probably reloaded, and that's going to happen. It's going to happen in the preseason, but it's the question on everyone's mind, because we saw it last year as well. How long will they stick with it? We get our first chance to see them do it in game action against an opponent that isn't just wearing a different color than them. The Seattle Kraken and the Canucks obviously play tomorrow. We'll be back on Monday to break that one down, but I liked that they were implementing those systems. I liked that they were trying it, but I think the thing that people really want to hear us talk about is focusing on individuals. Before we do that, did you have anything you wanted to say about the style of play that we saw today?
No, I would echo what you said. I think after 2 days of really drilling down on the way this new coaching staff, and it is a new staff, it's not just a new head coach, it's new assistants. And Kevin Dean did the media after the scrimmage today and talked a little bit about, he's new to the organization. He said he watched a ton of video in the offseason trying to get to know the Abbotsford guys, and obviously familiar enough with what's at the NHL level, but, it's new to those guys as well. So it's this coming together, lots of meetings in the summertime, but, this is where the rubber meets the road, as they say. And 2 days of sessions, then a scrimmage. Preseason starts tomorrow in Seattle, and it's just, reaching new levels here. They'll get down in numbers as the week goes along, and by this time next week, I would think that they are down to, the real battles, like those last couple of battles, and there are some jobs up for grabs. So, that's where I come back to this idea that I think training camp went pretty much as well as they could have hoped. Again, you can't make any wide sweeping proclamations like EP40 is back based on what we saw here. But he had some moments. There were things to dig into, from Elias Paterson. A lot of the bubble battles, I think that's where, most of the eyes were, some of those guys flashed as well. And so, as I say, not everybody was a standout, but you could say that every year about a training camp. But I come back to wanting to see moments and, just sort of something that you take away from a camp from a lot of individuals. And I mean, everybody sees it differently, but I liked a lot of what I saw here over the last 3 days.
The lines. Let's dig into the lines a bit. They stayed the same as we thought they would. They'll probably stay the same for the preseason. Don't know who's going to go down to Seattle tomorrow. We were kind of talking about this before we went to air. We'd assume it's one of, if not both, of the veteran lines of the Teddy Bluger, Connor Garland, Nils Höglander trio, or Braden Coots, you'd assume he goes down to Seattle, plays his junior hockey there, right?
Perfect sense. I'd be shocked if he doesn't.
Yeah, so Coots with Sherwood and Baines, one of those lines you would assume.
But
would
Coots wasn't tipping his hand after when I asked him. I said, have you been told if you're playing him? Don't know.
Now,
and may not know, or he may have just been playing it cool. I
might be wrong, but I'm gonna throw this out there. I was standing off to the side. I think I saw a little glance to PR as he was walking away, so I'm pretty sure PR staff was ready to go and gave him a nice warning.
We're not cracking any huge code here. I think we all expect that he will play, but if he knows, pretty good.
He did a really good poker face. Yeah, the signs of a good leader. So one of those lines will go. I want to talk about these lines that we saw today. In the scrimmage itself, obviously, as you mentioned, Team White winning this one by a score of 4-1, 5-1 if you include the shootout. You shooldn't include the shootout. It was not a tie.
I was getting into it in my mention. Somebody was like, it was 5-1. I was like, they had a shootout in a 4-1 game. Like that shootout doesn't count for anything.
And I believe the Canucks official social media accounts tweeted out like a graphic, and it said 4-1 on the graphic.
That's the score.
Yes, it's 4-1. They put a fifth up on the jumbotron in the arena.
Yeah,
that
you don't have a shootout in a 4-1 hockey game.
I put 4-1 in
this shootout was totally bogus.
Exactly.
It was value added for the fans that were there.
That's right. Okay. Before we get on to this conversation, I want to tell everybody about our friends over at Greta, the host of our watch parties. The first of which is coming up next month. Going to be sharing the date pretty soon. Think of this as a bit of a teaser of sorts. We're going to have the watch party. We got giveaways. We've got the street food menu at Greta. Of course, the arcade games and the bar as well. And we give out plenty of just cards so you can go play those arcade games. We're giving away a lot of Canucks Army merch. We give away Canucks memorabilia. We watch the game together and we have a great time. Make sure you come on out. Greta Bar, YVR, 50 West Cordova Street is the address. Even if we're not there, go hang out there. It's a great time at Greta. Okay, this scrimmage. I wrote about this morning. Who to watch today. I had a list of 6. On that list was Yuri Patera, who did not get into the scrimmage. He was not one of the goaltenders. It was Thatcher Demko, Kevin Lankinen, and then Ty Young and Nikita Tolopilo. We'll dive into the goaltending later, but on that list was Linus Karlsson. And he had a really strong camp. This is something we've been talking about for the past 2-3 days. Really strong camp. And I really liked what that line showed in game action. Him, Aatu Ratu, and Vitaly Kravtsov. Now, Kravtsov's kind of the, I don't want to call him an extra. He actually did some good things too. But what I'm getting at is that Karlsson and Ratu, that could be a bottom 6 line. Those two together that you hope can chip in with some offense, play with that energy and speed. Like, you never have to question Linus Karlsson's, wall work and all the little things that he's going to do. But, I really liked him and Ratu together. I really liked that trio today.
When they rolled out lines on Thursday, and I saw they'd put those 3 guys, I like that because they all have something to prove here. Like, that was very much a show-me line. And I guess I thought in the first couple of days I wanted to see a little bit more pop from any of them. But again, the first 2 days are drills. It really is hard to identify the guys that are standouts in what is essentially a practice. Now you get into some game situations. I watched Ratu pretty closely. I thought he had his moments. The skating is what it is. It's still very choppy. When you see guys that are so gifted naturally as skaters and they make it look effortless, he's at the other end of the spectrum. Like, he gets there. Moments as well. Stripped the puck from Quinn Hughes. That's not easy. And then it looked like that angered Quinn. And then Quinn just kind of put it in hyper drive at that point. He's like, enough of this. Like, if you're going to steal the puck from me, we're trying? All right, look at this. And then Quinn did what Quinn does. And it was funny because even in a scrimmage, like,
he can't help himself.
Yeah, but he just does things that other guys don't even consider and makes it look so easy. But talking about that line, like, Karlsson's not flashy. We know that at the AHL level, maybe. But at the NHL level, this is a guy that has to work for everything, and I thought the work rate was there in this scrimmage. Noticed him in the board battles, hustling in, being the first
Looks
guy
a
into
step
the court.
faster too.
Yeah, that seems to be a consensus. Again, everybody sees things a little bit differently, but I've certainly, I watched camp myself, but also seeing what some of our colleagues have said. Like, I tend to agree. And that's what summers are for, putting in the effort.
Yeah.
This is a guy that, look, he's played enough in the NHL to know what works for him and areas that he has to attack, and it does look like he has addressed that, and he wouldn't be the first guy to do it. And good on him. And if it helps him stick here, then the work is going to be worth it, obviously. So yeah, he wasn't a standout like by himself in this game, but did the things that you're looking for from Linus Karlsson, I think, to call it a successful afternoon.
One thing I want to mention quickly about Ratu specifically is just zeroing in on him. One thing that Kevin Dean said after the game was they were talking a lot about driving the middle, driving to the center of the net, getting to the center of the net. That's one thing that Ratu did so well, and Karlsson was looking for him. Like, if Karlsson had the puck in the corner or off to the side on the wing, he was looking for Ratu to be driving the net, and Ratu was going to the net. So when Dean said that, I immediately thought of what Ratu was doing. Another really good line in this one, the Sherwood, Coots, Baines trio. People really liked this, and Dan Jardine, who was at the game, it looks like, or watched it, said Sherwood, Coots, Baines looked really good. Baines was kind of a guy, specifically Baines, was kind of a guy who we were talking about, okay, he's going to be tough in this competition with Karlsson, who has the inside track. Max Asson's in that conversation as well, this bottom of the roster kind of conversation. He's going to be in tough a bit. Baines showed really well today. Like, he had a really good sense of where he was on the ice. He obviously creates the goal for Kiefer Sherwood to kind of open up the game by drawing in two guys on him at the line. Again, something they've been working on this training camp. He implements it and is rewarded with a goal for it. The coaches are going to love that. But I really did like what I saw from Arshdeep Baines specifically. A word on him before we get to the other two.
Yeah, he was a guy the first 2 days, quite honestly, hadn't really noticed him. And I don't say that as a knock on him. There were other guys that I was watching. Finish. Like, Sherwood makes a great dish. Quinn wipes out. You don't see Quinn make too many mistakes, but he got trapped inside the offensive line, and they go in 2-on-1. Sherwood with the pass, and Arshdeep Baines makes no mistake. And, if people have watched me on your show or other shows, look, Arshdeep's a guy that's figured it out at every level, right? Like, Western Hockey League becomes the WHL's top scorer. Abbotsford turns pro, local boy. It's a nice story, but that story only takes you so far. There has to be more than just a nice story. Well, we have seen what he's done in the American Hockey League.
AHL All-Star.
Yeah, and then, the playoff run last year, a bit of a slow start, at least in terms of, like, counting statistics. But then, by the end of it, was, like, probably the second best player behind Linus Karlsson. At the NHL level, there has been zero bottom line, and that's been my knock, that it's not enough now. For Arshdeep Baines, if he gets into games for the Vancouver Canucks, he can't just wear the uniform. There has to be some sort of tangible takeaway. And if he's playing lower in the lineup, I'm not expecting him to rack up the points, but there has to be that happy medium between just being happy to be in the NHL and actually being a contributor. And so to see him have a 2-point afternoon in on two of the 4 goals that his team scores, and the finish on his goal was a thing of beauty. So, yeah, I don't know that he needed to have this kind of day, because really jobs will be won and lost in the preseason.
Exactly.
But talk about, like, just getting the groove going and feeling it going into the preseason. And I don't know if he'll play in Seattle or if he'll play in Abbotsford and when we'll see him in exhibition action. But I think he can leave Penticton now feeling a whole lot better about his game. And then he's just got to find a way to keep it at that level, because he's not out of the woods by any means. Like, to me, I don't see him in the starting 12 on opening night if everybody's healthy.
Yeah.
But with the waiver situation, absolutely, I could see him breaking the preseason with the Vancouver Canucks. And at that point, where it goes from there, I guess, is up to him, and injuries are going to occur for him to get some opportunities. So, yeah, I wanted to see a little more pop from Arshdeep, and I did. So I would call that a good afternoon.
Sherwood, Coots, the other two part of that line. Both of those guys looked really good, and Coots specifically did not look out of place at all. Like, he was creating plays. He was jump-starting the offense. The thing about that goal that I just said, where Baines draws in the guys at the line, it starts with a heck of a cross-ice feed from Coots to really jump-start the offense and get them going up on the rush. It was a strong weekend. It was a strong week for him. Like, he looked really good. He looked, and again, it's not about, he looked better than this guy, but I noticed him, and there's a lot of guys who I was hoping to notice that I didn't, I haven't talked much about Jonathan Lecker-Mackey, and I'm not trying to single him out, but I'm just saying, we're talking about Braden Coots because not because we're on a bell curve or anything, but because he did look that good. He looked like he was fitting in on a line with NHL guys, and again, Bain's NHL, AHL, whatever you want to call him, but Kiefer Sherwood, NHL guy, going to be in the NHL lineup basically every night. And he looked not out of place at all playing with Kiefer Sherwood today.
No, and look, this much we knew about him coming out of his junior season and why he got drafted in the middle of the first round. Work rate is through the roof. And I think he brought that here, brought it to the 2-game show, the 1 game that he played in the showcase before he got hurt. I was a little concerned about his health and well-being, but showed no signs of the injury that kept him out of Seattle Thunderbirds training camp and the World Junior Showcase. He looked like he was going full bore. He's got to fill out. He's 18, right? When he's battling with some of the guys that have been doing this for a decade, you see, but that's not a knock on him. This is his first taste of this, and he did not look out of place. And again, he's not gonna blow you away, but you watch him and just the understanding of the game at this level, some of the subtle things that he does well, all really positives. It was a good 3 days for Braden Coots, and he's not going anywhere. When they start to make cuts, he's not going anywhere in the early cuts, without a doubt. Right. There's still this chance that, he could start the season with the Canucks. I guess I fall in the camp that puts that a bit of a long shot just because the others would have to then go on waivers, and I think he would really have to outperform some of those guys in the preseason for the Canucks to consider it, as much as, you'd love to see a guy get a taste in that 9-game window before the contract kicks in and everything else. But with the way the Canucks are structured this year, if he's making the team, he's taking up a roster spot, and that means others aren't. And then, asset management, to what end? So I think it's still probably a reach to think that he breaks training camp with the Vancouver Canucks, but I think you're going to see him play a handful of preseason games, and I'm excited about that because I want to see him sort of level up now against NHL or quasi-NHL competition.
Both Sherwood and Coots spoke after the scrimmage. We have those up now on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. Coots was asked who, kind of took him under his wing. He had glowing things to say about Kiefer Sherwood, and it was Sherwood that, of course, Sherwood had really nice things to say about Coots as well, but found that, maybe we obviously we were wrong, but I was kind of, alluding to the fact that, if you're Kiefer Sherwood, you probably wanted to play on one of these bona fide NHL lines, and instead you're with the guy who was a first-round pick this year. Didn't seem to bother him at all. He was very happy today.
Yeah, Kiefer Sherwood he's a solid dude, first of all, and a shameless plug. I wrote about him at Canucks Army and about penalty killing, and there's opportunity there. Now, penalties were penalty shots in this thing, so there was no special teams. But there is a piece up about how much he learned on the job at the NHL level as a penalty killer and how excited he is maybe to take on more of a role. So, again, from the shameless plug category, go read that. It's at Canucks Army. Kiefer Sherwood was the MVP of this game. He had a goal. He had an assist. He set up Kudratsev, who rang one off the crossbar in the first half. I wanted to say first period, and I guess it was, but they played 2 halves. Anyways, Kiefer Sherwood knows one speed, and that's full bore, whether it's a scrimmage or, the regular season. And so I think maybe the thinking there from management and the coaching staff was, let's give Coots a legitimate NHL. He had 19 goals last year.
Yeah.
Training camp's not about Kiefer Sherwood running around and hitting everything that moves. This is more about Kiefer Sherwood just using his speed up and down, being in the right spots, and being a reliable, dependable winger for a guy like Braden Coots. So I kind of like the fit there.
Yeah, someone to ask questions to,
yep,
right? Work
totally.
rate. You talk about work rate. That's a good guy to learn from.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. The other trio that we want to talk about, I don't know. Did Paterson, DeBrusk, Besser stand out to you? Because to me, it was just okay, that's an NHL line. Paterson showed some flashes, but I think that's a line that is firmly, for me at least, okay, even what they do in the preseason doesn't matter all that much to me. What they do in the regular season is what really matters. So I don't really want to spend too much time talking about them.
Right. Jake DeBrusk last year had a couple of goals out in the Abbotsford game in the preseason, and then remember he went the first 9 games without a goal. And so Yeah, he scored early, but when it counted, it took him a while to find his goal-scoring touch, and ultimately led the team with 28 goals, and I don't have any concerns or fears. Jake DeBrusk showed some speed out there. I guess what I wanted to see from Elias Paterson, first of all, through the first 2 days, in drills, he looked a little more invested than at this time last year. So can I sit here and declare that he had a really strong camp? I don't know that I can do that. But there was a play in the first half of this game, you probably remember, he tried to walk Jonathan Lecker-Mackey.
Yeah.
And I just like that. That's the confidence that I want to see from Elias Pettersson. Even in a training camp scrimmage, take on guys one-on-one, do your deeks, and see what happens. And it didn't work. If it had, I think it would have blown the roof off the
exactly.
place. But I just like that. That to me is PD of a few years ago that got that mindset that I can put pucks through guys' legs and make those moves and that type of stuff. So, again, it's on a very low level that we're grading this, but I want to see that in the preseason as well. Don't play it safe. You've got talent, you've got skill that other guys in this league don't have. Put it to good use. And I thought he tried, and then, of course, he was in the free and clear to shoot at the empty net if he had wanted to, but laid it off for Brock Besser. The slap shot into the empty cage to seal the deal. Again, 4-1 was the final score. That was the fourth goal for Team White. So he did figure in the scoring, even it was an apple on an empty net goal.
Early chemistry for those two. That's what we said to Brock,
yes.
right?
He said he was telling PD to shoot. So
Okay. One trio that I think matters quite a bit to talk about is Teddy Bluger with Connor Garland and Nils Höglander. We've talked a lot about how the Canucks have this top six and bottom six, and we were thinking that Connor Garland was probably going to find himself in the top six, and that still might be the case, but it was a good reminder today that Connor Garland is so good at driving play, and that him and Nils Höglander have had chemistry in the past together. Teddy Bluger gets in on the scoring. He's the one that kind of gets the reward for that line, but those three looked really good today. That was another line that I really, really liked.
Yeah, and last year at this time it was Garland and Höglander with Ratu in the middle. Mm-hmm. This time it's Teddy Bluger, and I think you might be looking at what the coaches are considering as a ready-made third line to start the season. Now, I'm not super high on Teddy Bluger as a third-line center, and I watched with Dakota Joshua and Garland, and they had the chemistry and had that run. But for the most part, I think Teddy Bluger is limited offensively, and I say that, and he scored a nice goal, a little tuck up under the bar in tight, and the hands were there, and that line was going. And so, I do wonder if they stick with that, and that's something that we see here as early as Sunday night in Seattle. Again, there's that veteran minimum, and so there will be some NHLers in the Canucks lineup, and it wouldn't surprise me if that was a group that represented the hockey club in the first preseason game. So, with Garland, you know what you're getting. It was funny. There was one moment in the game where Garland thought he was held, and again, there weren't any penalties, but as he turned up ice in the play, he was chasing the play, and he turned to the referee. He was like, come on, man. So he was trying to draw a penalty in that situation. Look, Jonathan Lecker-Mackey, they're giving him an opportunity with Hedl and Kane, but if he doesn't do anything with it, could Connor Garland find himself in that spot still? I think that is open for discussion and debate, but it seems nothing happens at this level by chance. So I do think the method of the madness here is that that's a line that they want to look at. I would think that the coaching staff and management would have to be pretty happy with what they saw from Bluger, Garland, and Höglander today.
Okay, quickly before we get to anyone else and get some listener questions in here, I did want to say the goaltenders. The goaltenders, Stemko, Lankinen, you know what you're going to get with them. They didn't really get tested all that much. The shots started coming a lot in the second half of this game. It was almost like the, oh, okay, we're almost done. I better, do something. It's been a quiet day for me. I'm going to start shooting at the net. So we saw some more sharp angle shots, less kind of deferring to others, and a lot of shots on goal in the second half of that game. And in the second half, it was Ty Young and Nikita Tolopilo in net. I thought both guys looked really good. That both guys looked good, but Tolopilo got the opportunity to look really good because he was under heavy attack. It was a couple grade A chances where he had to sprawl. Again, Jiri Patera doesn't get the start. I said this in the summer as well. Nikita Tolopilo's, at least in my mind, pretty clearly this team's number 3 on their depth chart, and I think Ty Young becomes their number 4. I think that's what you're looking at, and I think it's going to be those two in Abbotsford. Look, for Jiri Patera, I hope he gets a preseason start and gets a chance to show what he can do. It's been a hell of a year for him, and he's gone through a lot. It's a tough situation for him, but I think, I think you can read into the fact that it was Tolopilo, that it was Young, who were the goalies today. And I thought both of those guys looked good, especially Tolopilo.
Yeah, just the one goal in the first half, and then as it came out, Team White with a couple of goals on Ty Young. But I'm with you. I thought the better scoring chances were at the other end, and Nikita Tolopilo, even though he got beaten by Teddy Bluger, he was outstanding. And I think you really saw him putting his huge frame to good use, because there was a lot of blue paint, a lot of pucks to the net, bodies there crashing, and he was able to stand his ground, hold his own. And I'm with you. I think that is the way the depth chart shakes down right now. And where Yuri Patera ultimately falls, if he's in the organization, if they find a new home for him. I mean, beyond the injury, of course, this is a guy that got claimed on waivers by Boston last year and was there for, 24 hours, 48 hours?
Yeah.
And then Swayman signed, and then they brought him back. I mean, he spent more time in Boston than he has in Vancouver in the last 12 months. And here he is at training camp, and 4 goalies for a scrimmage, and he's not one of them. I mean, there has to be some messaging there. So it will be interesting to see if we see him in a preseason game.
All right, let's get to anyone else. But before anyone else, I need to remind everybody about the Daily Face-Off Draft Kit, your one-stop shop for everything you need to build the perfect fantasy hockey team. We're talking player projections, updated line combinations, power play units, sleeper picks, bust warnings, and team previews. Basically, all the tools to make you look like a genius and your friends look like they drafted blindfolded. Whether you're a seasoned vet or a fantasy rookie, this kit has everything you need to dominate your league. So before you make your first pick or panic in round 5, head over to dailyfaceoff.com/draft-kit and get your hands on the Daily Faceoff Fantasy Draft Kit. Fantasy hockey domination starts at dailyfaceoff.com. Go now. Your bragging rights depend on it. Speaking of special teams, I hope we get to see tomorrow some special teams work. It would be nice, because it's going to be a younger group that goes down to Seattle. Tyson Cole will be on location at the South Okanagan Event Center. He'll have the updates at Canucks Army, but we didn't see them run through any special teams. Last year it was the day of the scrimmage before they ran through the special teams with the regulars, but they haven't done any special teams work through this camp so far.
No, and I mean, you just think of the role of special teams. I'm always a little surprised that there isn't, like, I know it's early and there's lots of bodies here, but carve out 15 minutes and just, get those guys sort of in that mindset and get them some touches and, quite frankly, let us know what they're thinking as well. Because we know that there are jobs available on the penalty kill, and I think it's a bit of a guessing game right now on what they do on the first unit power play and really what they're thinking. And would there be some tells, like if Linus Karlsson's on the second unit power play, do we all sit up and think, oh, well, I mean, he's there for a reason.
Yep.
Does that mean that he's going to be here when the season starts? So, just a little surprised. But again, we saw them sort of run through that last year. So maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but I do think it would serve them well if they used a little bit of time early in training camp to put some of that to good use.
All right, let's get to anyone else, which is a presentation of the Vancouver Canadians, who we want to thank for their support all summer long. Their season has, of course, come to a close, but take a look at next year's season ticket options and make sure you don't miss out. For more information, visit canadiansbaseball.com. All right, couple anyone else's, some listener questions. Let's get into it here. Kelly Canucks asking how Kane and Hedl looked. Obviously, you're asking about the line. Really liked Philip Hedl all camp long. Evander Kane looked like a veteran player who didn't have much interest in training camp, it looked like. And that, I don't know. It's not anything I don't think to read into. He's going to play preseason games, and you'd assume he's going to try during preseason games. But I was just thinking to myself, like, okay, you miss all of last regular season. I thought he would have, been a little bit more urgent with his preparation, but it's training camp. I'm trying not to read too much into it.
This is a guy that's made a career of, bullying opponents. You're not going to do that to teammates.
Exactly.
And so I'll give him a pass. Like, he's been at this long enough to know what he needs to do to be ready. He'll ramp things up in the preseason. Hedl reminded me that this is not a fast hockey club. And one of the reasons the Canucks were interested in acquiring Philip Hedl is his speed's a separator. When he gets motoring in open ice, it's a little bit different than most of the guys that they've got here. I thought it was fascinating on that first day to hear Adam Foote say that they've already worked through video, the coaches and Hedl, about ways to better protect himself from unnecessary contact, knowing the injury history here. And so good on them, and hopefully, he's buying into it as well. There wasn't a bottom line takeaway in terms of the score sheet, but you can see that he backs guys off because they know that he's one of the fastest guys out there. And so in the first 2 days of drills, noticed him. He's been fully involved. He got through this camp. That at some level, it makes it a success just because of the questions around him. And now, he'll ramp it up here, I would hope, in the preseason. We said, had Lekkerimäki on the other wing there. Didn't notice a whole lot from Jonathan Lekkerimäki, so need to see more from him if he stays in that spot as they move on to the preseason.
This one from Van_Biggie. Let's talk about Ulrichsen. Looks fantastic so far. 2 great camps for the big man. He was good today. He scores a goal. Yep. He was using his size as well. There was a play that stood out to me where Filip Hronek stepped up, tried to hit him. Rookie coming up the ice. All right, you're going to come up on me. Goes to hit Ulrichsen and just bounced off him. Ulrichsen just stood his ground and Hronek bounced off of him. I really liked what I saw from Ulrichsen. Once again, that's a guy that, again, when you watch Abbotsford Canucks games this year, that is a guy to watch.
Yeah, and this is what excites me about him. I mean, obviously he has the frame that's unlike anything else. I think that this guy, with a year working under and with Manny Malhotra, I really think you will see development because the goal today was great. You're playing with the big boys and step up, nice shot. You talked about him protecting the puck. I think there are times, watching him in drills in the first couple of days, maybe some of the things he was able to get away with in junior, don't work here. But that's all he knows to this point, and that's why I say working with Manny and his staff in Abbotsford, because if he can shield defenders, if he can hold on to the pucks and use his size effectively, for a 4th-round pick, there's something there. I think there is something there. I'm not making any grand proclamations that he's going to be a star in the NHL, but just the raw materials that are there are pretty enticing. And so, I would agree. It was a good afternoon for him. Even if he hadn't scored, I still think there were moments in that game where, like you said, he kind of announced his presence just because he's bigger than most of the guys that are out there.
Okay, this one was from Kelly Canuck, who said, not much talk about the D-men other than Quinn Hughes. How did everyone else look today? Filip Hronek was transporting the puck well, I thought.
Hronek was funny. He was getting into it with Jake DeBrusk on the penalty shots.
They were grinning ear to ear.
They were, but they didn't want to give an inch. And the battle went a little longer than I thought it was going to. He had another moment with Besser where he hit Besser and then Besser went back at him. And again, sort of good natured, but also you could see the competitive spirit that was flowing there. People want to know about the younger guys. Look, I thought Victor Mancini, the first half of the game, was really assertive. He looked more like American Hockey League Victor Mancini from the playoffs last year, which is the player that we didn't really see after the trade when he was in NHL games, played it pretty safe, deferred to his NHL partners. But I thought he had certainly a good first half. Didn't notice him as much in the second half of the game. DPD's DPD. There were a couple of moments where he used his size effectively to separate guys from the puck, and that's what he's all about. Tom Olander, having seen him now for 3 days, this isn't dumping on him in any way. It's just he's young, and he's not quite at the NHL level just yet. I think that the skating is there. In open ice, he skates really well, but he's not the biggest guy. Certainly, even Kevin Dean was he's got great size. Oh, check that. He's got good size. And so I don't want to say it was a disappointing camp. I just think there are guys ahead of him now that, and something I just want to mention quickly is this news that Jet Wu is going to be out a while. Jet Wu is a right side guy in Abbotsford that probably would have eaten some huge minutes. There's a real opportunity, and there's no shame here. If Tom Olander starts the season in Abbotsford,
it's fine.
Same goes with Victor Mancini. Without Jet Wu, that right side is wide open. We're talking 25 minutes a night for somebody, probably in all situations, and that's probably the best place for a guy like
exactly
Willander
what
right
you
now.
want for Willander. Like, he's got to learn the game. He's got to learn when the pressure's coming. Like, again, I brought it up yesterday. Just the retrievals. You've got to learn where that pressure's coming from. You have to be able to shoulder check. You have to be able to be deceptive when you're going back for that puck, or you will get eaten alive at the NHL level. Hell, at the AHL level as well. So it's a great opportunity for him to go work on it. But yeah, you're asking thoughts on Willander in the chat. Where'd it go? Yeah, Benton was asking us for thoughts.
Like, sorry,
on
Minio
Willander.
is solid.
Yeah.
And he's not a flashy guy. Again, like, I'm excited to see him develop in Abbotsford.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This is what I want to point out. We say it about Minio that, oh yeah, he needs some time in Abbotsford. He's got some really exciting tools, as does Tom Willander. Yep. It's just that people are more disappointed because Tom Willander's a first-round pick. And,
right.
You know, the expectations were higher, but I don't think the expectations should have been as high as maybe they were for some people for what Tom Willander was going to do. This is, again, like the guy's going to be in his first season pro. It's absolutely fine to start in Abbotsford. That's what DPD did, and he fast-tracked his way to the NHL.
And we talked about Kirill Kudryavtsev, rang one off the post, set up by Sherwood.
Yeah.
Outstanding first season as a pro. Like, there is reason to be excited about this collection of young defensemen that the Vancouver Canucks have. Like, that really is a position of strength along with goaltending. And, we'll see. Like, it's sort of survival of the fittest. You have to be able to play in the NHL. Nothing's going to be handed to you. And so right now, I think DPD is probably at the top of the food chain among the young guys. Willander and Mancini both showed some things, but I think both have some development to do. Kudryavtsev's not going to make the Vancouver Canucks, but we saw him late in the season get an opportunity. It wouldn't shock me if earlier this year, if they run into some issues, if we see Kirill Kudryavtsev again in the National Hockey League, and then we talk about Sawyer Minio. So, for so many years, people have wondered, like, where is the depth? How come this team can't develop its own defenseman?
What's going on in Utica?
Yeah. So, no, I think that's an exciting development that we all got to see, even if they're not all ready to jump into the NHL lineup right now.
Yeah, absolutely. T asked this, who's at risk of being waived? Arshdeep Baines seems like someone that is going to get right down to the finish line. Again, showed well today, and there's a chance he knocks down that door, but I would probably say he's one of the guys that when we're talking about risk of being waived, I'd say him. I don't think Arshdeep Baines gets claimed on waivers. There's a bunch of Arshdeep Baines on waivers.
Every team has an Arshdeep Baines. And again, I think people in Vancouver sort of fall in love with their own players maybe a little too much, and maybe that's around the league. But like, when you look at, as the season goes along, like legit NHLers that get placed on waivers that don't get claimed, I'm with you. Like, every team sort of has an Arshdeep Baines. So unless there was a team, and remember too, if they claim him, they got to use him and keep him on their NHL roster, or he gets put back on waivers and the Canucks could reclaim him. So yeah, I mean, look, Carlson needs waivers, Baines needs waivers, Ratu needs waivers now, and that's what works against Max Sasson because he's waiver exempt still, and Lecker-Mackey as well. So you can sort of see the writing on the wall and how much a guy would really have to outperform the competition to make some of those difficult decisions for the Vancouver Canucks.
Okay, I think that's it for listener questions. So let's get to our Bet365 bet of the day. Is there anything else from either of you? Yeah, tell us.
Oh, I can't believe that we've gone 40 minutes here and that this Vancouver Canuck marketplace really, for the most part, seems to have glossed over maybe the biggest and most exciting development here from the last 3 days.
I can't even guess what you're about to say.
A healthy Thatcher Demko doesn't give up a goal. And I get it's a scrimmage. It's his first game action in 6 months.
That's a good point.
He's made it through the first 3 days. That's a victory in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
He looks dialed. I watched him pretty closely in the two practices, the practice days, and then in the scrimmage, he takes a knock. Forbert kind of pushed Max Sasson in. He got knocked down. He popped right back up, dusted himself off. Like, he has such a capacity to be a difference maker for this hockey club that to get through these first 3 days looking like, I don't want to say Vezina level, Thatcher Demko, but looking like his former self. And it just, maybe people are sort of like, yeah, okay, like, I need to see it in game action, and that's fine. If you're in that camp, that's fine. All I'm saying is all he can do right now is stop the pucks that come his way at training camp. Didn't give up a goal. Wasn't tested that much. I mean, let's be honest. But I just think it's such a huge development. Outside of Quinn Hughes, to me, he's the second most important Vancouver Canuck. Like, we can have a debate about Elias Paterson and where he falls in that conversation, but this team is being built to grind out wins and, beat opponents 2-1, 3-2. They can do that without massive contributions from Elias Paterson. I don't think they can do that without Thatcher Demko back to his level. So, again, if we're just looking through this lens of what happened here over 3 days in Penticton, I think that is a massive story and one that doesn't seem to be getting much traction. But Canuck fans,
you're right.
That's a good news story that Thatcher Demko looks like he is on his way back. Because 12 months ago, if we wind it back,
that's right.
I mean, on this day, 12 months ago, Thatcher Demko isn't participating in main camp, and Kevin Lankinen's not even on the roster. And we saw they had goalies that could not and did not stop pucks. They had to act. They had to go get Lankinen. And so to come out of this camp with a healthy Thatcher Demko looking pretty sharp and a Kevin Lankinen, like they're in, it's just a world away from where they were at this time last year.
Yeah. Okay. Where'd it go? I read something. Oh, yeah. Okay. Swerve and Irvin, regular listener to the show, said Dylan Cousins pulled the Yolevi this week. What the hell is it that Travis Green does to players at training camp? I'm not sure if you saw it.
I did.
There was a photo of Dylan Cousins flat down on the ice, face down like this. And the caption was, Travis Green training camp claims another victim. Now, it's a funny meme, but it's misinformation. He was down like that because he took a shot off his foot. So people are like, oh, Dylan Cousins fat. He's out of shape. No. Dylan Cousins took a shot off the foot. It was not Travis Green's fault. Unless Greener was the one that shot it at him, which would be even funnier. But no, it was not conditioning from what I could gather. It was a shot off the foot that hurt. So he was laying down. Okay. I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're good. Anything else? Either of you? Jacob, Jeff, thanks for doing this. Appreciate it.
No, it's fun.
We'll chat with you on Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll have a game to chew on, I suppose.
Oh, yeah.
Streamed. If people are wondering how it is going to be streamed.
Canucks.com. We're chatting with Brendan Batchelor. He's on
going
the
down.
call.
He's going to Seattle to be on the call, so it won't be a stream with soft rock and classic hits.
And you know what? As much as people crap on, you don't do this, you don't do that, whatever about the Canucks. Like, they're sending Batch down. They're getting a stream up on their website. Most American markets, there's like one preseason game that's televised. We're trying to get all of them out here in Vancouver, and really, we like to watch them all, and the fans like to watch them all. But shout out to the Canucks for sending crew down. Is it out there that,
like, the game in Seattle will be streamed, the game in Abbotsford is going to be streamed, and the other four are being televised.
I don't know about the other four. I know the first. Oh, okay.
I'm telling you. The other four will be televised. I had that confirmed by television people here in Penticton.
I thought you were asking me.
I'm not asking you. I'm telling you.
Excellent. Well, you heard it here first, folks. All right, let's get to our Bet365 bet of the day, brought to you by Bet365. Right now, it's already it's a live bet now because the Mariners are already winning. I was going to take Mariners money line. It would have been a good bet. Right now, they're minus 245 favorites. They're up 2-0 on the Astros early. Man, oh man, that's a big series for the M's.
By the way, Quads, what's the update on Wu? Because I saw that he left last night's game with an injury, or with injury or precautionary concerns. They still won the game, but he has been an absolute stud. And if they don't have him, I don't know what they're going to do in the playoffs.
Tough time to be a Wu.
Yeah, I didn't get an update. I didn't see an update. They're winning. Doesn't matter. He'll be all right. All right. So yeah, minus 247.
Quads just made the
Get him back out there. The old Rick Tocchet. He'll be fine. I had an injury like that back in the day. He'll be fine. Okay. So that was kind of our Bet365 bet of the day. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use the code NATION at Bet365. Must be 19 plus to play. If you choose to play, please play responsibly. All right, we'll wrap it up there. For my co-host, Jeff Paterson, and our technical producer, Jacob Lazar, my name is Dave Rudrelli. Thanks so much for the episode of Canucks Conversation. Canucks Conversation is live Monday through Friday, every weekday at 2 p.m. over on the Canucks Army YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and interact in the YouTube live chat every day with us, folks.